The Michigan Guardianship and Conservatorship Timeline. Hi, I'm Darren Findling of the Probate Pro law firm, and we're going to work our way through a general timeline as it relates to the filing of a petition for guardianship or a petition for conservatorship. Remember, there's a difference between the two. Guardianship generally relates to care, custody, and well being, and conservatorship generally relates to financial and legal. You can file them at the same time, you can file them separately. They may involve the nomination of two different people, or it could be the same person. But the same general timeline exists for both guardianship and conservatorship. And remember, very important that each matter is unique. So I'm giving a general timeline. Please don't rely on this without consulting with an attorney, without making sure that you have specifically addressed the unique circumstances of your matter. All of them, meaning the petition for guardianship and petition for conservatorship, begin with the filing of a petition for guardianship or a petition for conservatorship. These are two state court administrative office forms, scale forms that can be found through our website or through the court system. One is a petition for guardianship, one is a petition for conservatorship, and we generally recommend getting a physician report, a script, some statement from a physician indicating that there's a need for guardianship or conservatorship. That's not always possible, but if it is possible, attach the physician report to support your petition. It will make the process move much easier through the court system. The next step relates to, of course, to the filing of the petition. There are statutory and court rule requirements for the filing of a petition with the probate court. There's also a filing fee that is paid for each petition for guardianship and petition for conservatorship. So please check that out to understand the costs of doing so and whether you would qualify for purposes of waiving the fees associated with the filing of a petition for guardianship or conservatorship. When that petition has been filed with the court with the requisite documents, meaning the probate court has accepted its filing, what will happen is you will then be required to serve that petition or petitions upon the interested parties. The interested parties are those people that are entitled to notice, and those are defined by Michigan court rule and Michigan statute. It's very, very important that you pay close attention to who the recipients, who are the rightful recipients of the petition are, which of course include the person you're seeking guardianship or conservatorship over, as well as particular family members depending on their relationship. So read the statute and court rules and consult with your attorney to ensure that notice is appropriately provided, because it's really frustrating if you go through this process of filing the petition, you get up to the court hearing date and you have failed to provide appropriate notice and you simply have an adjournment rather than an adjudication. So please pay particular attention to the service requirements as well as providing the person that is being sought guardianship over all of the information necessary for them to object if they so choose. After you've served, there will generally be an appointed guardian ad litem, a GAL, is appointed to report and investigate the petition that's been filed. It's not always done, but usually done. There'll be a guardian ad litem that will go out, do a visit, identify whether the individual that is being sought guardianship over or conservatorship over, whether they agree with the and consent to the petition, or whether they object. They have all sorts of rights as defined by statute to object to either the appointment of a guardian or conservator or the person that is being sought to be their guardian and conservator. That guardian ad litem does not represent you as the petitioner. They are the eyes and ears of the court to report to the court as to the circumstances that have occurred as it relates to the filing of the petition, and they will generally write a thorough report to the judge for purposes of the hearing. And sometimes it's done verbally, sometimes it's done in writing, sometimes it's done both verbally and in writing. Then, of course, that document gets filed with the court, and there'll be a hearing on the petition. Now, that's about 3 to 4 weeks. It could be between 2 and more weeks, depending on how busy the court system is. And there's a hearing in which you have to prove to the court by clear and convincing evidence of the need for the guardianship, the need for the conservatorship. It is up to the petitioner to prove that to the court such that you overcome the burden that's required by statute for the appointment of a guardian and conservator for the individual. The court will take testimony and then ultimately make a ruling on the petition. The court has all sorts of powers under the statute as to whether they accept it, reject it, whether they limit the powers. And so that is done at a hearing. If there's an objection on the petition, generally it gets scheduled for an evidentiary hearing or a trial on the matter as to whether a guardian and or conservator should be appointed. Then letters of authority are issued upon the court approving the petition. So if it's granted, the letters of guardianship, the letters of conservatorship, which are really like the golden ticket. It gives you the legal authority to act on behalf of the individual. Your fiduciary responsibilities and duties kick in, and you now have the authority to act on behalf of that individual. Then there's an inventory that is required to be filed within the conservatorship only within 56 days after the appointment. The inventory is a snapshot of the assets that you're managing and administering on behalf of the conservatorship. And then yearly, there is a requirement that has to occur in both the guardianship petition and the conservatorship files. The guardian is required to file an annual report on condition of the legally incapacitated individual. So essentially letting the court know how that individual has performed, how they're doing within the last calendar year. And within the conservatorship, there's a requirement to do an annual accounting. So again, there's lots of rules relating to how you administer the assets, how you manage the assets. Please work with skilled, competent probate counsel to make sure that you're doing this correctly, because you can get yourself into all sorts of trouble. But the annual account is then filed, which provides an accounting over the last year. So essentially, all the income, all the expenses, and what remains. That accounting gets filed with the court. So the annual report and condition, as well as the annual report, is an annual obligation, and then it will continue year to year with the same rhythm. So it's really important that you follow all of the statutory obligations, because if you don't, then you can be suspended, you can be held accountable through the court system. All sorts of bad things can happen if you don't follow the statutory rules and the court rules relating to the administration of a guardianship and the administration of a conservatorship. At the Probate Pro, we love helping people through these particular types of issues. If you've got questions about the guardianship or conservatorship process or timeline, reach out to us at 833 Probate or visit us at theprobatepro.com.